Hello ladies and gentlemen, what's up? It's Kate and welcome back to my channel. Let's just get right into it today because I have so much to talk about and I want to get in and out in a timely manner. Many of you maybe have felt like an outsider at some point in your life. I know I have. I have felt like an outsider for pretty much my entire life and I've really hated it, and it was just been something I've constantly struggled with. But today I'm here to present you with an argument as to why being an outsider is the best thing that you can be and how it will benefit you throughout your entire life. So stay tuned. I'm pulling this information from a variety of sources, the main one being my life experience, but I'm pulling some of my research from this book I'm reading called Stretch, specifically chapter 4, which is titled Get Outside. Basically, it highlights a lot about being an outsider and why being an outsider is good. And I'm reading this book so you don't have to. I'm going to give you the footnotes here and my explanation of them. So without any more explaining what's about to happen, let's just get right on into it. Although you are probably going to find this very hard to believe, an outsider can regularly outperform an expert in several areas. So according to this book, and for the sake of this argument that I'm trying to make, outsiders exist in all parts of life. An outsider is anyone who lacks resources that the experts take for granted. So let me repeat that. An outsider is someone who lacks the resources that the experts take for granted. The key to this is because the outsider has a diversity of experiences that the expert may not have. For example, if you are a doctor, you will probably have to spend thousands and thousands of hours, getting certified, getting educated, and being able to be a doctor, which leads you to something called functional fixedness, which is where you can only see an object for its function. For example, I could only see this as a bracelet. Well, maybe it will have more uses, but because I see it as a bracelet, I will only ever think of it as a bracelet to put around my wrist. Well, maybe there might be a million other uses for it. But when you get stuck into functional fixedness, you lose your creativity because you see an object only as its one purpose. Can be said with knowledge too. Once you get certified in something like being a doctor, you only see things from that very functional perspective, and it's hard to get creative in analyzing or diagnosing a problem because you're only diagnosing it according to the very specific and disciplined set of beliefs that have already been instilled in you, rather than viewing things from a more perspective and diverse experience set. So it's actually been proven, according to this book, and there was research and studies cited here that have said that actually when you put a doctor in a certain situation, there are other disciplines of science that are able to solve it better than them because they don't have that functional fixedness. They can see things from a very different and diverse perspective, which will actually make them more effective at solving the problem. It's hard to become an expert in anything because the rules are always changing. So even if you spend thousands of hours doing something, you might get really good at it, but the game always is changing. So you're better off spending your time doing a variety of different things, learning about a variety of different things, and living through a variety of different things rather than one thing, because then when the problem comes up, you'll have so much more experience to pull from and therefore more effectively solve the issue. Once the challenges become less predictable, meaning less like something we'd see in our everyday life, the practice does not always make perfect because you will never have practice, so it doesn't necessarily mean perfect. You only can practice certain set outcomes, and that doesn't necessarily always prepare you for what life could throw at you because life is unpredictable. Research has been shown that experts are no better than an average person in forecasting future events. So why do we place so much trust in them? And that's a whole separate topic, and I'm not going to really get into that today. So people who know lots of little things and draw from multiple perspectives will routinely outperform those who knew one big thing really well. So it is really truly the well-rounded who perform the best. It's also been proven that the further the problem was from one's area of expertise, the more likely they were to solve it. And again, this goes back to functional fixedness. And it can be shown in all different aspects of life that the more you learn about something, then the more fixed you are in your understanding of that, versus someone who maybe has no prior knowledge could come in and see the issue in a very different way from you and therefore be more likely to solve it. So As an outsider, you are viewing the problem from a foundation of all of your different experiences, which therefore gives you a better perspective than if you're only seeing it through that one specific perspective. A diversity of experiences will lead you to think more extensively about the problem, and you have more areas to pull from. So people who kind of roast on people with more generalized degrees, for example, me with a communication degree, versus someone with a very, very specific degree, such as physics, or like a specific discipline within physics, well, someone who gets a more broad education will actually be better off in life because they will be able to solve more problems. So today we have people who are really good at super narrow things, because apparently it's better to be really, really good at one thing, but the one thing to be something really, really, really specific. And that's where we get these quote unquote experts from, and why they are so praised and like, oh, we're gonna trust them because they are an expert. But how often are those experts really right? I personally can think of several examples where there's someone who comes from a different background into a new situation and actually was way more successful in that situation than people in there previously. But to summarize the point I'm trying to make, being an outsider means you are lacking in the resources that the experts have. But that's actually a huge strength, because it makes it so you have a diverse perspective and you're able to see those issues in a very different way than them. And oftentimes, more oftentimes than not, according to science, you are actually able to solve them better. So next time you feel bad about yourself for not knowing enough in a certain area, or not being an expert, or feeling like you're on the outside of a situation, truly you are in the best possible position and the best possible place, because you will probably be more likely than those experts to come up with the answer. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, please give a thumbs up and leave a comment. There might even be more videos coming in the future based off of this book, because there's just so much knowledge there to be shared, and I'm excited about it. All right, that's enough for me for today. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.